I know, right? Hello, everyone. This is of course our Wednesday night BroDiallo broadcast. Chauncey's in the building. I guess he out on bail or probation or what, wherever he's been at. Welcome back, Chauncey. Hope we can see you more in the future and your input. Much appreciation. You know, Chauncey couldn't hack it on the south side of Chicago. Things got a little too rough in these Chicago streets, so he had to go find, safer areas. And, I don't fault him for that. Let's not hold that against him. Everybody can't hold down this south side Chirac life. So good evening, everyone. Anyway, it's 420. And, of course, that's like the cannabis holiday here in the U.S. Me having been someone, well, I guess I used to go on 420 when I broadcast on 420 and say, I never ever use cannabis, never smoke or dab or none of that. But I do buy that, CBD oil from Whole Foods and the little blue CBD, and I put it like in my neck and shoulder sometimes, and I twisted my wrist working on my son's car. So I am a cannabinoid user. I don't know if I qualify yet, So anyway, I haven't experienced reefer madness as of yet, but I have used CBD oil. So I'm part of the cool kids. Finally, it took me, almost 50 years, but now I'm one of the cool kids. But anyway, I have a wonderful guest, someone I've known since I was a kid, somebody from the Missouri, from KC, KC suburbs by way of KC. So, I'm going to bring her on, have her introduce herself, and then we'll open up to discussions, ask all your weed, cannabis, as far as from legislation to the effects of medicinal effects and so on and so forth. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on my good personal friend and expert in all things in the sticky, icky, Dr. May.
Hey.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. I'm glad to be here.
Happy 420.
Thank you.
And I tell you, I'm finally a user. I've utilized some CBD oil. So does that make me a cannabis user? Do I qualify?
Yes. Absolutely.
Can I hang with you under the bleachers now?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, no, I know. I feel like I've definitely had lectures from you in the past for using cannabis, probably when we were like 18, 19, I'm sure.
I didn't want you to ruin your life with drugs.
Right?
Oh, speaking of drugs, speaking of ruining your life with cannabis, I have a cannabis, practitioner, and I also have a cannabis advocate and user. Brother Biddle's here. Sorry, Brother Biddle.
Hey, good evening. How you doing?
Cannabis, you're late, you're lazy, you're unmotivated. Biddle, meet meet Dr. May. Dr. May, meet Brother Biddle.
Dr. May, how you doing?
So anyway, we're just getting started, so you're not too late. If you can clear your head, maybe crack a window.
So all these negative stereotypes, man.
What? Me? No, I'm pure science. I'm science and data driven. Anyway, we're gonna have Dr. May introduce herself, and then we'll begin the discussion and take Q&A from our audience. So I'm gonna hand it over to you, Dr. May.
All right. So I'm May Fuimaono-Poe. I'm a family nurse practitioner. In 2016, I opened the first nurse-led cannabis clinic in the state of Hawaii. Since we opened, I've certified over probably 12,000 people at this point. With and one thing that is very unique to my practice is that we have always done individualized dosing plans, because it's different depending on what your symptoms you're looking to treat. So we do dosing plans, and then we do a bunch of advocacy work in the cannabis space here in Hawaii. Mainly lobbying the legislature, Senate and House for legalization, but not all legalization is good legalization. So always kind of keeping that in mind. So yeah, that's me.
Okay. All right, we're back. I'm surprised to hear you say the state of Hawaii. I normally call it the occupied kingdom of Hawaii, but you know.
Right. Oh no, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, no, thank you for the correction. So the illegally occupied kingdom of Hawaii.
Right. So
Yeah.
you are, you know, essentially you are a native Hawaiian descent. So you know, we want to acknowledge that Hawaiian Islands are, you know, still contested territory. Oh,
Very much so.
All right. So anyway, we're just gonna get right into it and jump right in. Oh, first I want to have give Brother Biddle an opportunity to also introduce himself. He's also into a steeped in politics, social justice. So I'll give Brother Biddle an opportunity to introduce himself, and then we'll just jump right in because I know you guys are very busy. I appreciate your time. And so after Biddle, we'll move on to the open Q&A and engagement with the audience. Good? All right.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well, my government name is Ian Alexander Biddle Sr. And for the purposes of this show, just call me Brother Biddle. I'm a 40-year-old, a father of 3, longtime organizer in the union and community and politics, a political director for unions in my past life, an elected official in my past life. Currently, I work for the Wisconsin Council of Churches as a community health coordinator. Over this past year, I've been working with them to actually organize churches in the community to be vaccination clinics and testing sites in the Black community, Black and brown community. So I've been doing that work, which is a little bit different than previous work that I've done. About 6 years ago, Diallo and I had a show. Brother Diallo and I had a show called 0 to 100 Radio on Q4 Radio, where we actually met face to face and built a platform to talk about real social and political cultural issues from a revolutionary, radical, militant perspective, and also the bullshit that in pop culture to marry those two worlds and bring a dynamic where people can be educated and entertained. And it was a lot of fun. And under that lifetime, my name was Black Star, the Underground King. So I've been doing organizing work, media work, political work all my life. I also started off as a social worker working with Black and brown youth in the juvenile prison system and helping them get out and reacclimate it into society, helping them get jobs, get back into the community, get back into school. I've worked in programs like Youth Build, where we took 18 to 24-year-olds that are deemed opportunity youth and helped them get a construction trade in their high school equivalency degree. So all of my life, I've done jobs that have been based around helping people, which is what I do. I also like to talk shit and sometimes partake in things like 420, which is good for the soul the mind and the body.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
So, and y'all know BroDiallo and yeah, I guess it's, it didn't take him long to do that humble brag. If you do appreciate the BroDiallo broadcast and all that, you could thank Brother Biddle because he did give me my start in underground radio, guerrilla media, and all that. Guerrilla radio. So, I'm eternally grateful. And if you are a BroDiallo listener and supporter, you should also, give a shout out to Bro Biddle because he did give me my start in broadcast. I wouldn't call myself journalism, but in broadcast,
you
ranting.
are one. You are. You're a broadcast ranter journalist.
So let's just jump in with both feet. The format is I pull up the questions and read them, and then we can respond depending on who it's directed to, or we all respond to the question. You guys ready?
Yep.
All right. And again, welcome back, Chauncey. James Thompson wants the world to know he's a cannabis user as well.
Shout out to James Thompson, man. Living your truth, brother. I appreciate
it. Shame on you. I say shame.
You.
I say shame on you, brother. Oh, I guess it's legal now, so I guess it's no more,
Before we do this Q&A with the brilliant doctor and us two normal folks, what do you have against cannabis, Brother Diallo? Do you not see it as liberatory or revolutionary?
I guess I don't have anything against it anymore. It's legal and lawful. Actually, I don't. Let me tell you, in reality, I was always cautious about cannabis because it was in my youth, it was kind of associated with drugs. I kind of grew up steeped in the crack epidemic. And so, you know, I'm a kid who would sleep on the floor or the sour couches of crack houses. They call them trap houses now. And I was surrounded by drug abusers and people suffering with addiction. And in all that time, it was always, you know, they'd have the crack, the coke, the syrup or the scissor, and weed was always associated with that as well, with the larger drug culture, gang culture, street culture, and things of that nature. So for a long time, I just couldn't break that. I got a better understanding, you know, when I went off to college and, you know, started dealing with the Kingstonians and the Rastas and stuff. So I was able to later separate, you know, cannabis and cannabis usage for recreational, spiritual, and medicinal purposes versus the abuse of illegal narcotics and opiates. But then I still just held on to it because, you know, the superiority that comes with not using versus what comes with.
So you're an elitist. You're an elitist.
Yeah, I'm writing out the final remnants of that. You know, what's left becomes legal and socially acceptable as, you know, Republican right-wing senators invest in the cannabis industry, and it becomes that. So I'm just writing off the last remnants of moral superiority that not smoking gives me. That's all. I'm pitiful. You know, how about you? What was your first and earliest encounter with cannabis?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, and I did learn not to say marijuana, but to say cannabis from Dr. May. So thank you for that. But what was your first encounter with the stickiest of the icky?
Oh my gosh. So it was actually, you know, in junior high school. I know. I know.
The dare dog didn't work.
The dare drug did not work. I was the one during dare who was like, can I take a closer look at that? Like,
can I inspect it, please?
Can I inspect it? I want to see what to expect, what it looks like. And it was, you know, me and Diallo both grew up in Missouri, in the Midwest, super Bible Belt. It was highly, like he said, highly illegal, highly frowned upon. And so, you know, my first time was with one of my friends. I think she probably got it from her parents, from her mom. You know, probably stole it from them off of a Coke can, tried it, didn't really like it. And then just kind of, you know, like left it alone until I was a little bit older, hanging out with like, you know, Diallo, our whole little crew. We had a lot of little like Rastafarians.
Oh man.
So
you knew younger little Diallo.
Yeah, so Diallo and I
have so many questions.
We've known each other for probably 30 years at least.
Let's go.
At least,
like minimum. Yeah.
So you knew church boy Diallo.
Yes. Yeah. And to say that Diallo hasn't changed is like, Diallo has always rolled with this intensity. So him knowing that me and our little Rasta crew, that we smoked weed, he was always lecturing us, telling us to stop. You're ruining your life. Why are you doing this? So that's what I would hear from Diallo all the time about weed, literally.
Got you. He was the pious of the pious.
Yeah.
The pious piper.
Yes. And you know,
I tell him to stop with the drinking and stop eating meat and dairy. You know me.
Yeah.
Just judging
people like a good Christian. You know?
Right, exactly.
Condemnation.
Yeah. I've overcome my puritanical indoctrination.
I mean, a little bit, maybe.
You just transferred it to another, you know, to a revolutionary perspective.
It's scientific, like I said, it's scientific hateration. How about you, Biddle? When did you first succumb to peer pressure?
I think in high school. I think my friend, he's actually a cop now, which is the funniest thing. He's a law and order guy now. But I think he passed me a joint when I was a junior in high school. And I think I fake smoked it. I didn't really smoke it. I just kind of like puffed it and just blew it right back out. And they're like, no, man, you got to actually inhale it, man. And I was just trying to get through it. I didn't, and then I smoked a little bit in college, but I really didn't start smoking until I was an adult,
Yeah.
like mid 30s, yeah.
So, Dr. May, what is an appropriate or safe age to begin, consuming cannabis?
So it depends on a couple of different things. So I think that children who are using it medicinally, my youngest patient is 3 months old and my oldest is 100. And so, what we kind of know from the research is that once people stop using cannabis, nothing like really sticks around. So I think for medicinal use, so I'm talking strictly, about cancer, epilepsy. Those are the two main ones, and even autism that I feel like it is safe to use in children.
Gotcha.
But for regular people, really for women, because their brain, we develop different. I would say at least 20. And for young men, same, like in their 20s is when, but it's still not going to cause permanent damage. Like that's part of the war on drugs. And more, I'm saying this age from just like a social responsibility type of jam.
Gotcha.
So you're saying when it comes to medical treatment, there's really no minimal age, but for recreational, it should be about the 20s.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go to our first question from our viewer. One of our viewers, Brother James asked, so what symptoms are they treating with the medicine? What symptoms or issues does cannabis address? And does it just address symptoms, or can it treat core medical issues?
No, so that's actually a great question. So when it comes to symptoms, I would say the biggest one is pain. That it actually, is huge for helping with pain, relieving pain. It works along the same receptors that opiates do, the mu receptor, but it's way less damaging. So I'd say pain is really the number one symptom. But as far as treatment and curing, this is where it gets very controversial.
Okay.
Excuse me. So, what we see and why it's controversial, because it's, treatment for cancer. And, I would be remiss if I, through the research, the limited research that I've seen, but also through my patients. I had a patient that had prostate cancer, got a prostatectomy, and then just did cannabis, and has been essentially in remission for almost 10 years now, and that has been repeated again and again and again. So yeah, for symptoms I would say pain, and for curing I would say some forms of cancer.
You have any insights on medicine and medicinal aspects of cannabis, Biddle?
I know that when I lived in Colorado, they had medicinal previous to me arriving there, and they just had recreational. And I think both of them were ballot initiatives. And during that year, they had a study for veterans who were suffering from PTSD.
Yeah.
And they were trying to further the law there more. And a lot of veterans were just talking about how they felt that cannabis, the medicinal cannabis, was better in terms of their panic attacks, in terms of their depressive episodes, and in terms of their anxiety. They felt that was a better alternative than some of the more traditional prescription medicines that they were getting from their doctor. So I do know that. And then I self-admittedly have bipolar. And so I will say this with a disclaimer. When I'm on my treatment program, doing the things that I need to do, like in terms of my water intake, meditation, working out, getting consistent sleep, I do find that cannabis helps me in terms of my anxiety, in terms of my panic attacks and things of that nature. But when I am off of my plan, I'm off my routine, it's nothing. It's for me, it's nothing but a coping mechanism. It's something that dulls the pain, and I think it's all about my intention of using it. So if my intention is to get away from the world and get away from my stress and anxiety, it becomes a coping mechanism in terms of just dulling my pain and not facing what I'm dealing with. But if I'm on my square in terms of doing what I need to do every day to be productive, to be healthy, I find it to be helpful in terms of maintaining my mental and emotional health. That's just my own personal opinion.
Yeah, I have in my family, we have the sickle cell trait or sickle cell gene that, so we're always on the lookout for, any type of manifestations of sickle cell. And I have one relative who consumed cannabis recreationally, and they eventually decided to stop consuming cannabis for whatever reason. And they started to develop, certain sickle cell issues, health issues. And, their hematologist told them, what protected you. You didn't even know you had sickle cell, and what had protected you from developing any type of symptoms or ailments was your recreational use of cannabis. You were unknowingly, self-medicating for cannabis. So, I've seen firsthand some of the medicinal impacts, in dealing and seeing people. I've seen other people, not to say that it can't be abused, though. I've definitely seen cannabis be abused, but I guess we'll bring that up later. But I think the medicinal effects are well established and accepted, even by, people who detract from cannabis. Mm-hmm. Going on, Camp Fear asks, "Hi, thanks for the broadcast. Will you three please speak about the cannabis production and consumption in communist international states in 1917 and 1953? Well, all I know about that, as far as I know, is that the Soviet Union pretty much classified cannabis the same way as the United States did. It's like a class 1 substance, and some of the punishments weren't as harsh. I believe you could do like a month or 2 in prison if you were caught with it. But I know that the Soviet Union or the Soviet satellite states had a very strong industrial cannabis or industrial hemp business. But beyond that, as far as I know, I could be wrong. I've never looked into it, but just in reading about the Soviet Union and the communist revolution, I know that their laws pretty much tracked with, Western Europe and the US laws as far as cannabis in that era, at least, in the post World War II era. Anybody else? No, and if the comment was token up or not. All right, obscure question, but as far as I know, but that's something you might want to look into, I guess. Cannabis under communism. And I know that in the U.S. during the Reefer Madness era, they said that cannabis or marijuana abuse would lead to communism and people having communist sympathies. I know that. And if you don't have a good work ethic and you don't want to, slave away for a multinational corporation, then, you have communist sympathy. So I remember in the
American dream, as they say,
against marijuana abuse because it would lead to communist sympathizers, or what they called pinkoism, the pinko. People who weren't fully communist but sympathized with communism. Okay. Nadira asks, what are the most harmful elements of youth under the age of 18 using cannabis? Dr. May, let's pass that to you.
So again, the issues are temporary, and they tend to dissipate once cannabis use is stopped. There's no permanent damage from cannabis use. Cannabis use is incredibly safe, and I recommend it medicinally for children all the time. But for recreational use, I would say, some of the biggest issues come with the short-term memory loss. And the short-term memory loss is actually, protective and medicinal for some people, like with PTSD. And so I would say that's kind of the bigger one. They talk about a motivation, essentially lazy stoner, but that myth has been debunked through research, hundreds of times. And so, really, I would say the biggest issue is the short-term memory loss, and depending on where you live, the legal issues surrounding cannabis use as a youth. I would say that's the biggest issue. I'd say that's the most dangerous issue.
Wow. Okay. Sean Quo says, thanks, bro Biddle.
No problem. When I did the youth build program, the biggest, so class started at 9 o'clock, right? And so the youth build program was 9 to 5. So half of the day they were doing hands-on construction training, and the other half they were in the classroom. So the biggest issue that I had was letting these young adults have access to construction equipment while they smell like weed. Like, that was the biggest issue every day. And it was an issue of, one, you're here to attain something so you can find your way professionally. Two, I honestly thought that they were doing it to cope with the panic and anxiety of being in the classroom. I think a lot of the waking and baking psychologically was, when they were in high school originally, they were not successful. And sitting down for 3 to 4 or 5 hours frightens the hell out of them. And I thought they were doing it to relieve their anxiety when it's time, especially around like test taking, quizzes, anything formal. They're high as a kite. And so from a behavioral aspect, it's teaching them there's a time and place for things. Like, I can't really dictate to you what you do outside of this classroom, outside of this program. But if you want to be successful, you're going to have to figure out how do you negotiate this with yourself, because we might bring an employer in or somebody who might want to give you a job and you smell like Wiz Khalifa. That might not make the best impression that you're trying to make professionally and as a young adult. That's what I saw from the youth build program aspect.
All right.
Sean Quo, you're welcome.
Oh yeah.
Whatever I did, you're welcome.
You're like, for putting me on, you're like Puff Daddy and I'm Biggie. You like
no, we're turn that around. No, you're Tupac, man. I'm Biggie, you're Tupac.
No, or Suge. I'm on. No,
how am I Suge, man? Suge's in jail and he's blind.
You put me on. I was in the streets thugging, and you were like, "Do this." Anyway, let's get to the next question. Is there a side effects of smoking too much cannabis? And if so, what are the side effects of smoking too much cannabis? That sounds like a cannabis way of person who smokes too much cannabis. Question.
What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? My short-term, when I smoke too much, my short-term memory is shit, man. Like, I'll go back into the house 5 times to look for my keys, and I'll come out 4 times without my keys. Like, so I just know from a perspective of short-term memory, when it's overloaded like that, when I'm smoking too much, my memory is just terrible. And sometimes it messes up my sleep, believe it or not. Depending on what type of, if you're doing a sativa, you're doing indica, hybrid, it can mess up your sleep cycle. So, but I don't know, the good doctor probably has more valuable information than what my little antidotes.
Your personal struggles.
My personal struggles. Past personal struggles, brother. Past personal struggles.
One way that you can totally avoid getting short-term memory loss while using cannabis is to add CBD to your regimen. So because it kind of blocks your CB1 receptor, the THC receptor. And so you get still a lot of those effects, but without the short-term memory loss. So that's just a way to deal with it in the future. But I think, the long-term effects that we really see from cannabis use are predominantly related to smoking. So it's like cough, sore throat, irritation, temporary short-term memory loss, but also cannabis hyperemesis syndrome. Um, and so this is something that I always talk to my patients about, and especially avoiding concentrates. So cannabis hyperemesis syndrome, it's basically caused when you use way too much, burn out your CB1 receptors, and the opposite happens with THC. So instead of it helping with nausea, you end up getting this cyclic vomiting syndrome to where you can literally vomit like up to 100 times a day. And one of the ways that it's relieved is through hot showers. And there's really no treatment for it other than quitting cannabis use. So I always focus on avoiding it by not using concentrates, not using pens, not using dabs, and using lower THC formulations, and always taking breaks from cannabis use.
What is too much? And I know about concentrates, but how would someone know when they're beyond their limit?
So that's a great topic, because everyone has a unique endocannabinoid system, right? Having an endocannabinoid system, that was literally one of the biggest discoveries of our time. It was discovered in 1992 by, Dr. Meshulam, because when the United States made cannabis illegal here, they outsourced all of the research to Israel, to this lab, and essentially, Dr. Meshulam, he, tagged a radioisotope, THC, put it in the body, and everything lit up. And he was like, this is wrong. Like, this is impossible. How can there be THC receptors throughout the body? Did it again and again and again and again. Same thing. And so that's how they discovered that, like your musculoskeletal system, like your nervous system, you have an endocannabinoid system, and its job is to essentially bring homeostasis. So it's constantly in flux and in motion. And because all of us have unique endocannabinoid systems, for some people, like for me, too much for me is 5 milligrams of an edible, or more than 20% THC. That's too much for me personally. So it's very unique. So I can't say that there's like this certain prescribed amount that's too much. Concentrates, I think, are too much for anybody and should always be used sparingly.
That kind of addresses this question. So we answered that. Okay. Someone had asked, hold on, before we deal with that, someone had asked about, here it is. James asked initially, what are some of the common myths about cannabis y'all think we don't know? And then he went on to touch on, when they say, smoking cannabis damages brain cells. So can we speak to some of the maybe lesser known myths, or if we can touch on the more common myths of cannabis smoking or consumption? You want to start, Biddle, or?
I'll let the good doctor start.
Okay, Dr. May, you can run with
that. So I think there's so many cannabis myths. One, that it makes you gain weight. Absolute myth. And typically what I see is actual weight loss, because people feel relief from their symptoms. And, not meaning to sound like cheesy, but it can put people on a religious, spiritual quest to also change their lives. I see this a lot in my military PTSD guys. They come to my office just incredibly uptight, and 2 years later they've come back, they've lost weight, they've grown out their beards. So I would say that also that indica, sativa, those are the biggest myths. So indica and sativa only describe the morphology. It has nothing to do with the effects of cannabis. The effects from cannabis are from the active chemical compounds. So, cannabinoids and terpenes. But the dispensaries, have known it like for decades. Like we've been telling them, the medical community has been telling them, the scientific community. So that's why when people will get an indica and be like, "Oh, it was so weird, it woke me up," it's like, no, it's not weird. It's just actually because they market cannabis.
They market it the way they do.
Cannabis will cure everything. Is also a myth. It can definitely help with a subset of symptoms for sure. And what other? Those are like the myths that I feel. Oh, and that people are lazy, and that only criminals use cannabis.
Criminals,
so, like if you come to my office,
losers.
Yeah, it's like everyone. It's like artists. Attorneys. It's like nurses. It's a huge combination of professional people.
A lot of people are getting high, man.
All
different walks of life. That's what I liked about being in Colorado.
I got two words for you. The biggest myth of all, or maybe it's not, gateway drug.
Yeah, huge myth.
And I'm not saying it's a myth. I'm just saying that's what I hear.
Yeah.
People say it's a gateway drug.
One day you're gonna smoke a joint, and the next thing you're gonna be doing heroin.
Well,
smoking a crack pipe. Yeah.
There have been some people who state that that cannabis is a gateway drug because for so many years, cannabis was associated with heroin, cocaine, crack, and other opioids and hard drugs. And when people tried cannabis, it didn't have the addiction, it didn't have the disorientation, it didn't have the impacts that they were told that cannabis had. And so they were like, well, if I was lied to about cannabis, what about heroin? What if the same people who told me that cannabis would ruin my life, maybe they're lying. So I've heard some people state in that sense it was a gateway drug for them because of the myths. If the system is lying about cannabis, how do we know it's not lying about all the other
things? Yeah.
So, self-fulfilling prophecy type deal. Camphor asks, do there exist many quack cannabis doctors? How do prospective patient distinguish between scientific cannabis doctors and quack cannabis doctors?
So yeah, I would say like all professions, there's and I feel like cannabis people who are, actually practicing in the way that I practice, in the way that my colleagues practice, we're often discredited and discounted by, our colleagues, by our patients, because, so many people just want to rush to, adult use. They don't always see what we have to say as valuable. So I would say, yeah, like any other place. And how can you find somebody who's good? I think looking at reviews, but also calling and ask, do they do dosing? Will they help you to, make it something that's going to work for you? Because, most people who are actual cannabis clinicians do dosing with their patients.
Okay. Prester John is our local conspiracy theorist.
Okay.
He's often,
So you guys are like best friends then?
No, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Just ask Prester. He knows I'm secretly on the payroll of everything from the Russian government to big pharma. So
really,
drugs are deliberately designed to injure the body, side effects, and thus lead to an increased demand for additional drugs to remedy the initial drug-induced injury. And then he goes, market share goes up, up, up. So that's more of a statement than a question. But if you guys want to tackle that, what do the reptilian overlords, tell you to say?
Well, the Illuminati told me this yesterday. No. I talk to them every Tuesday and Thursday. No, but
right.
I know from my perspective of when I was first diagnosed and dealing with the medications, those medications did not help me. A lot of them either exacerbated symptoms. I gained weight, and when and then I had one prescription. Which one was it? I forget the name. Seroquel. I would take it, go to sleep, and it would be so hard for me to wake up and be functional. Like I would have this foggy haze, and some of the drugs actually made me be more manic, made me have even a more volatile temper. I did not have those type of issues when I was doing cannabis. I don't even take those things. I haven't taken prescription medicine in maybe 3 to 4 years. I did not find it to be helpful, and it was hell. It was expensive, and I felt like they were constantly pushing newer dosages on me, and my body was just in a state of influx. So, yeah, I agree with Prester. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
me and Prester, we see eye to eye on this.
Okay. Oh, I could figure. Okay.
So, I might lose my platinum Illuminati membership card.
I don't have to share any of my pharmaceutical money with you then.
Right?
I keep all the Pfizer money to myself. Do you want to speak to that? I mean, there is corruption in that, but but again.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely corruption in pharmaceuticals, but for people who need them for blood pressure, for diabetes, even for certain, mental illness, for some thought disorders and mood disorders, I think that everything has its place, and I definitely help people get off of their prescription medications using cannabis. But, what the medications that I help people get off of are anxiolytics for anxiety, pain medications, and sleep medications. Those are the three classes that I specifically target and help people, come off of and replace with cannabis.
All right. Then he goes on to ask, didn't Jordan Peterson run to Russia to get medical help after pharma fried his brain with benzos?
Man, I do not know, brother.
Jordan Peterson is a right-wing philosopher. He is a racial realist, and racial realists basically assert that there shouldn't be any social program to help disadvantaged minorities because we're disadvantaged because of our genetic and intellectual inferiority, and it's the public resources to give any type of special help or affirmative action. He's on that kind of bullshit. But he wrote this very book called 12 Rules for Life. And in his book, he stated that you can deal with like social anxiety, mental illness, and other psychological issues by cleaning your room and keeping a pamphlet to organize your life, taking notes and dressing and focusing on it. He said that you shouldn't take drugs. It makes you weak and so on and so forth. And then as he struggled with psychological issues, he ran off to get medical treatment and so like all right-wing conservatives, he's a goddamn hypocrite.
He's a hypocrite,
He also claimed that he lost his job because there was a rule that you couldn't say anything disparaging about transgender individuals, and that Canada has basically criminalized homophobia and tried to silence homophobes or people who spoke out against LGBT. And then after he said that he was censored and fired, he kept his job and went on a nationwide tour to speak about being censored and being canceled. He's such a piece of shit. And please stop. And his benzo abuse was his own. It was not that he was forced to take benzo. He's a lying hypocrite who was anti any type of medical intervention for people struggling with mental, psychological, emotional issues. He's a hypocrite. He's a liar. He's a piece of shit. And nobody fried his brains with benzos but him. And he also advocates a 100% raw meat diet, which also gave him very grave effects. And his daughter was also a right-wing celebrity. They also claim that they only eat raw or extremely rare red meat, no vegetables, no legumes, and not even fish or chicken, but just raw beef diet. So he's a right-wing celebrity.
Yeah. He sounds like he doesn't wear underwear. He sounds like he doesn't wear underwear. Yeah, it's some weird shit. It's a weirdo.
Yeah, he's part of what is called the intellectual dark web, and only shitty
intellectual dark web.
Yeah, only shitty people know who Jenny. Besides me, besides anybody outside of me,
besides you, impressed her,
is a shitty person. And he's also part of the manosphere. How modern society, masculinity, how real men are being suppressed and no longer after real strong men built civilization. Civilization is now
alpha males.
Alpha male, yes, he's also part of that. So he does have quite a large black following, even though he's overtly racist and a white supremacist. So,
Dr. May, for all the aspiring high value alpha males out there, will cannabis make them more of an alpha male? Will they possess the qualities that will attract high value women if they smoke cannabis?
I mean, cannabis can decrease testosterone with heavy use. So actually, maybe it would be great for them.
No, it'll make better. Okay, you just everybody. Where's James? James is throwing away his stash.
Right? He's
like, toss it, James. Just take it away. Superpower.
I heard that another so heavy use.
Heavy.
Can you define what does that mean? Is there a general benchmark for heavy use? Is that 4 blunts a day? Like where
Wait, what?
Is that like 3 to 4 blunts a day? I don't do that anymore. So like what? Like what does that mean?
I mean, I would say it would be daily, at least like 1 to 2 grams where you would see it interfere with testosterone levels. So alpha males, hit it up.
They need it.
They need it. No, they literally need it.
They need it.
Like that level of intensity and hatred for women is not healthy.
Yeah, and themselves.
Yeah,
they don't like themselves.
So Nadira says, "Thank you for sharing your story and breaking the stigma." And the little.
Thank you, Nadira. I appreciate
that. Phil, he's a tech nerd that I know. Shout out to Phil and his helping me create this technological magic that we're using today.
Hey, black men loving black men. I love it. I love to see it, man. Brothers loving brothers.
Hardcore people who suffer pain at my physical therapy center use it only for pain. It helps because when you don't have sleep, it really damages you. But other health things are interesting. Okay. A lot of weak testimonials on here. A lot of people.
Nice.
Hey, man. It's popular, brother. Like Tupac said, weed and Hennessy.
Okay, we got more people caping. He's talking about benzos. As far as I know, Jordan Peterson is a PhD. Dr. Jordan Peterson didn't have benzos. He abused the benzos and even secured them illegally. So I don't think it was big pharma conspiracy to bring down Jordan Peterson. No. And
he was talking about the brother that made Get Out. I'll be honest with you.
No, and you know how conservatives always talk about taking personal responsibility. But whenever they're found to be doing something illegal,
when they're found a little
something, it's not his fault, even though his whole shtick is personal responsibility. Yeah. Okay, I got another question. Can it cause psychosis?
This is great. Thank you for asking that. This is one of my favorite topics, actually. Cannabis causing psychosis is a myth, but for people who have a risk for schizophrenia, cannabis can be associated with your first break. They would probably have a first break around that period anyways, just because of what we know about thought disorders, specifically psychosis, schizophrenia. So it can make that break happen sooner. But like I said, that break would probably happen anyways. Now, another thing is that, we also see cannabis help people with thought disorders and also with mood disorders. So one study that I recently saw, it showed people who had schizophrenia and who were using cannabis actually had lower rates of hospital admissions. And because of where it kind of works in the brain, we know that it can help some of those symptoms. I have a couple of patients with a thought disorder, but I always recommend, if you have schizophrenia, you should probably stay on the medications. You should definitely stay on the medications that are prescribed to you, and use cannabis. So as in a similar way that people would use a benzodiazepine or an anxiolytic to kind of help them to relax. I've seen cannabis be very effective.
One time, okay, back in the day, I'm stuck in the Seattle airport. All right, I'm supposed to leave at like 6:50 p.m., but they keep delaying my flight. I don't leave till 4:00 in the morning the next morning. All right, I have an Altoid size lid of lemon drop edibles. I'm so frustrated. I eat all of them. All of them. One of the stupidest things I have ever done. I heard voices in my head telling me to take a shit in the middle of the airport. No lie. No lie, man. It was bad. Like I was out of my fucking mind.
Did you do it?
No, I did not.
Oh, damn. That was wow.
The blood of Jesus kept me sane.
All right. Testimonials. James stated that weed don't make me lazy or unmotivated. Another testimonial. So, Phil states, my dad takes it so he can keep down his other 5 pills he has to take. Where you mentioned emesis, or which is fancy way to say vomiting. So, it helps with, sometimes it can complement other pharmaceuticals as opposed to replace them. Prester John wants to know about resin in the lungs. Do you guys know anything about that?
I have no idea what he's talking about.
The Illuminati has not given me that memo as of yet, so I don't know.
Speak on that. The reptiles won't let you speak on that, Doctor.
No, they won't let me speak on. Let me speak on that.
You can't. Okay, Illuminati allow us.
I take my marching orders from them. I don't step out of line, brother.
All right, Caddy Jackson asks, how natural is most cannabis sold at dispensaries? Once products hit the mass market, products start to sacrifice quality and substitutes and additives are added. What is your professional analysis?
Do you want to go first?
Me?
No, Biddle.
No, I want you to go first.
Okay.
I'm waiting for you.
Okay, I have a lot to say about this.
Yes, please.
Explain your answer.
Please.
So first off, I just want to make that caveat that not all legalization is good legalization. As we have seen in throughout the nation, cannabis, small craft growers have been completely taken over by cannabis corporations, creating the second war on drugs. And these are the people who are now selling you cannabis. The biggest thing that I have an issue with with cannabis dispensaries is that a majority of them use remediation. So what is remediation? Remediation is when you have cannabis flower that fails testing due to mold. Typically, it's because of mold, and then they remediate it. How do they remediate it? So they'll use gas remediation, which is ozone. In Canada, they use radiation. Straight up, Canada irradiates weed in the same way that they irradiate food, and swear it's 100% safe. And those are the two that are the most dangerous. Ozone, it's basically a gas, and it takes all of the terpenes out, essentially. So if you are using cannabis from a dispensary and it smells like grass, it doesn't smell like cannabis, 10 out of 10 it's been remediated. And there's no like labeling requirements. Most people don't even know that the cannabis they're using is remediated. I had no clue that remediation existed until I started, just from being lazy, getting flower from the dispensaries instead of, from other sources. And I actually got sick. Like I totally got these horrible coughs. I was getting bronchitis all the time. And I thought that it was just because I'm old. I was like, oh, I'm too old. I can't smoke it anymore. And then I went to the Emerald Cup, the one, historically, one of the better cannabis competitions. And like, I was still smoking and none of that happened. And then when I came back to Hawaii, there was a bill passing allowing remediation in our state. And I was like, oh, now I get it. And so, yeah. So, you can ask them if it's remediated. I doubt they know, but I can pretty much guarantee you a majority of it is.
I had a friend in Denver that worked at a dispensary, and they told me to stay away from certain dispensaries that remediated their weed because you would have severe bronchitis or coughing issues. And I asked him that because I went to a certain dispensary and I bought some, and I could barely smoke it. Every time I smoked it, I was just coughing up phlegm. Like, it was disgusting. Yeah. And my friend said, yeah, don't go there because their stuff is trash. I said, what do you mean? And they said exactly what Dr. May said. It's crazy. Yeah.
Okay. Sean Quo asked about how harmful is K2/spice, which is synthetic.
I've seen that shit straight up, man. Don't use that, man.
No. Yeah, stay away. It's really bad.
It's terrible.
Like, just stop. Don't. Yeah, horrible.
Man.
What is it exactly?
So it's created in China. Most spices created in China, and so they're trying to take what THC does, which THC works on your CB1 receptors. So it's like a synthetic THC, but it's not good. It's not like dronabinol or some of the other pharmaceuticals, and there's really no quality control for it. So it's basically synthetic THC, but in a really bad form.
Well, there's like a spice syndicate in Star Wars, and there's like, the Hutts, Jabba the Hutt, and they're at war with the Pike syndicate over the spice trade on Tatooine. So
I didn't know that.
Diallo's a geek.
So that's why Jabba's always just chilling, huh? Jabba's just chilling.
I'm just saying, I'm glad to know spice is real. I mean, like, we're getting closer and closer to this. We got a space force in the United States, and now we got spice. So now all we need is warp engines, and we'll be on our way to Star Wars. Oh, and lightsabers. We're almost there. We got lasers.
Dr. May, I have a question. Brother Diallo, can I ask the good doctor a question?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, absolutely. Thank you, brother. So I'm in Wisconsin that has no legalization of anything, but hemp has become a really popular thing. CBD oil hemp, as far as delta H THC. What is your opinion of people using CBD oil and hemp products in any way? Like, what is your perception of those products?
Yeah, so CBD has very much become the wild, wild west in a lot of ways, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge fan of CBD, of cannabidiol. I use it daily. I think that it's also marketed incorrectly. So I would say if you are using CBD products, that you need to make sure it has a certificate of analysis, a COA.
Okay.
And that it's from a good source, that it's organically grown, and that they're like using sustainable methods. I mean, a lot of people have issues with Charlotte's Web because they're like, it's a huge corporation, but the Stanley brothers have always been really good environmental stewards,
Okay.
and they have really good products. And so I would say just get it from a good source. I think they're actually a really good source.
Okay. Yeah.
Prester asks Dr. May, what's the status regulations within the cannabis industry? Pesticides, heavy metals, etc.
So it's different from state to state. And, because it remains federally illegal, it's really states' rights. So for the state of Hawaii, they test for pesticides, heavy metals, and mold. And that should be a standard practice everywhere. But yeah, it's different from state to state. So I can't just comment on it in a broad spectrum. I can just say what it is here.
Yep. Dr. May, how do you say your last name? How do you pronounce it?
Fuimaono.
Fuimaono? Fuimaono?
So it's like Fuimaono. So Fuimaono.
Gotcha,
I'm
okay.
Actually. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm a South Pacific Islander.
Nice.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay. I Manifesto states, I literally listened to someone detailing the difference between effects of indica and stevia yesterday. Even though I've never smoked, I'm an indica man because Jungle Brothers had a song called I'm in Love with Indica.
Right.
That's all it took, huh? That's all it took. A song by the Jungle Brothers, and you became an indica man.
I'm totally down with indica. So when I start smoking, that's the only thing. Check that out. JB's with the Remedy. It's a dope album, But going on, moving forward. Prester states, Prester for some reason said rubbish. I don't know why, which one of y'all he's talking about, because I know he ain't talking about
me.
Right? Oh, maybe we're getting added to the list.
I don't give a shit. Prester, we don't give a shit, brother.
Prester states the real gateway drug and determinant of addiction, I believe he's saying, is actually childhood trauma.
Yeah, so he's talking about Gabor Mate's work. And like the whole like rat lab, like land experiments, where they like took rats and put them in, horrible places, stressed them out, rat park. And gave them cocaine. When they were in these stressful environments, they used a bunch of cocaine. But when they put them in rat park and gave them everything, basically met their needs, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, all of their needs were met. They didn't touch the cocaine. So it's kind of that like, and yeah, actually I agree. And Gabor Mate is probably one of the leading researchers on that from Canada. Does a lot of really great harm reduction work. So yeah, we agree. I agree.
Hey, look at us. Look at we building bridges of understanding. You know what I'm saying?
So God, Tony, who's always trying to convert me to Rastafarianism.
Yes,
it's a great religion.
It is. It really is.
I don't really think petty dictators make the best gods. So if they
that's one. You talking about Haile Selassie? That's what you're talking about?
Maybe if we could deify Garvey, maybe replace.
Right? I don't know. Let's do that. Why can't we do that?
Salute, respect to the panel and the chat. Thank you. We're getting blessings from
Much respect, man.
Imperial Majesty Most High.
And learned a lot tonight. Salute.
All right. So James state capitalism will have you doing something to cope.
No doubt.
That's the thing. I titled this.
You might even know too much about Star Wars because of capitalism. Shout out to Diallo.
How you get that?
Because capitalism will beat you down so much. You know so much about the Tatooines and other things that nobody should know. Everybody copes somewhere. That's what the brother said, man. You cope through Star Wars.
Yeah.
I didn't make the rules, brother. I didn't make the rules.
Pastor Jordan Peterson is a fit example of a crypto fascist and charlatan. Yes.
Crypto fascist.
Yes. And so there's a fight about Jordan Peterson going on.
Whoa. The betas. The betas.
Back to Cannabis. Back to 420 things. Is cannabidiol the same thing as marijuana? Is it legal in the United States?
So cannabidiol is CBD, and it's the same thing. So everything is from the cannabis plant. Whether it's CBD or THC, it's all the cannabis plant. It's just a different variety. It's like roses, right? Mm-hmm. They're all roses. Some of them just might be like white, purple, and they're bred for these specific outcomes. Same with cannabis. All of it's cannabis. It's just bred to have certain, phenotypes, right? Like certain expressions. So cannabidiol is bred to express more CBD. Recreational cannabis is, in those markets are typically bred to be THC dominant, but it's all the same plant. It's all cannabis. And cannabidiol is legal in the United States because of the passing of the Farm Act. So yes, it is legal federally. It's federally legal.
Got it.
All right. So, I manifesto. Do they see the use of ayahuasca, peyote, fungi, which I believe is shrooms, becoming more accepted along with cannabis? So, are you guys going to get?
I don't know too much about peyote. Never tried it. I did try fungi though.
Right.
Ayahuasca.
It's amazing. No, I haven't done that either.
And so I'm actually on a panel this weekend in LA, the psychedelic conference, specifically talking about these types of things and these types of plant medicines. The fact that any plants are illegal in Schedule 1 in the United States, it just shows how damaging, Harry Anslinger's war on drugs has become, and we're still living in the fallout
still doing that, yeah.
War on drugs. And so, I think especially with what we're seeing with the long-lasting effects of the pandemic, and mental illness specifically, I think that there's going to be a huge place for psilocybin. You got Johns Hopkins studying psilocybin really intently. There's studies out of Harvard. So I think psilocybin will be next. Mushroom will be next.
Look, when I took my trip, I was able to gain answers and insights to my personal life that were jarring. Yeah. Did I act on that advice or those insights at the time? No, because I wasn't ready. But I am now, and I'm looking back at that time, and everything that I'm doing now is whatever happened, whatever was talking to me during that time, they told me to do these exact same things. It was powerful, man. It was great.
I remember Mike Tyson said that that psychedelics helped him overcome. I mean, we all saw Mike Tyson's, descent into madness and hyperaggression, but he said that psychedelics really helped him come out of that.
Man.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think just a good resource on that is How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. And also, Adult Use for Grown Up by Carl Hart. Those are two really good kind of resources on that.
You said Michael Pollan?
Pollan, yeah, How to Change Your Mind. He's also written extensively about the food system as well. He's a great author, really, really easy to read. It's probably one of the best books on psychedelics right now, in my opinion.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Phil states that up until now, I thought the only strain that could cause psychosis was purple haze, or any strain that comes from purple haze. Are there psychosis that you know of not strain related?
It's from THC.
Anything with THC. Any strain can give
levels of THC. High levels.
Gotcha.
So it can be any strain, but also
it's really high in those levels.
Yeah, and also ones that have beta caryophyllene, which is a terpene that can also and purple haze is actually one of those, but it can definitely increase paranoia.
Purple haze is nice.
So Camphor, our resident communist, asks, what if psychosis and drug abuse was caused by material circumstances instead of idealism? A little dialectics going on.
What if psychosis and drug abuse was caused by material circumstances?
Well, that's Marx's analysis. Everything grows from the economy and material relationships.
So essentially, your living conditions.
Yeah, that's
systematic conditions, living conditions influences you to abuse drugs and have psychotic episodes.
Yes.
Okay.
So we got to take the means of production and redistribute the wealth amongst the proletariat, and we won't have any more drug abuse or psychosis.
I don't agree. I don't agree with that.
I wish.
Capitalist pigs. Both of you capitalists.
I don't agree with that. No, I mean, if you solve the distribution of wealth problem, what people decide to do with their share of their wealth, you can't regulate that. Like, you can't say that if you solve this one problem materially, that people will not have other reasons to do drugs or have psychotic episodes.
Yeah.
Well,
we do. I'm sorry. Go on.
No, go ahead.
Like solving those material conditions, does that preclude you from having childhood trauma? Does that preclude you from having some sort of violent episodes that might precipitate you to abuse drugs? Like, it's very myopic.
Well, we definitely have research that demonstrates that more equitable distribution of resources does reduce. I don't know about drug abuse, but it definitely reduces psychosis and psychotic episodes. I mean,
I would agree with that.
All right, so
would eliminate that. I'm talking about elimination, total elimination.
Yeah, but greater economic stratification does cause. I mean, just basically every social ill.
I agree with that.
Violence and crimes, but yeah.
But
anyway, well, it's only one way to find out for sure.
Right? I'm waiting for you to start the revolution so we can find out.
Sure, to figure this out is create the dictatorship of the proletariat, and once we get there, we can figure out whether or not.
Here we go. We just need Obama back in office. He'll solve everything. Get my nigga Obama Obeezy back in office, and we will have justice and righteousness in this nation.
Was sending mugs to the hospital. What is this thing about edibles? I see a lot of memes online about people taking edibles.
Because people take them
late effects.
Stupidly.
So what are the precautions one should
take it stupidly? You take a little bit at a time, and you have to understand that edibles take a minute for them to absorb into the bloodstream, and so you can really feel the effects of taking the edible. What people do, people are used to smoking a joint or smoking a blunt and immediately feeling the sensation of being high. When people take edibles, they take one They listen to the advice at the forefront. They're like, oh, I'm gonna take a little crumb. They take it, and they're like, oh, I don't feel shit. It'll be like 15, 20 minutes after they take it. And then they take a bigger chunk, and they still don't feel it. Then they take a bigger chunk, and then they feel it, and now all of a sudden they're running down the street butt naked in the emergency room.
Yeah.
Tripping. You know what I'm saying? That's really why people be fucking up with edibles, because they don't allow the process to perform itself.
And you also have people in the dispensaries selling products and just being like, oh, start with 10 milligrams. That's a small dose for me. Right. And for a lot of people, 10 milligrams can be a whopper dose. It just depends.
Yeah. Depends on your tolerance.
So start real.
Just nibble and chill.
I recommend 1 to 2 milligrams and slowly increase.
Yeah. Just nibble and chill.
Edibles. That's all I can.
Vegan edibles.
That's all I can add to it. Just make sure.
What about
vegan?
Ready, do you advocate for vegan crack? If there's a vegan crack, would you advocate for that?
Above what? As I think crack.
Regular crack, non-vegan crack.
Vegan?
Crack is plant-based.
Because it's plant-based. It's plant-based medicine. It's not soda. It's vegan.
Yeah, so I don't have to recommend it.
It's already vegan.
Yeah.
Crack is vegan.
Crack is
I'm learning so much today.
Well, it's not vegan because it's not really ethical, and it causes a lot of environmental damage, which harms the ecosystems and the biosphere and biodiversity. So it's not vegan, but it's plant-based.
Plant-based.
Okay, that's fair.
Plant-based crack.
Right. I'm an old school vegan, but the young vegans are teaching me this language.
Right.
How old, Diallo? How old are you?
Oh, actually, that's not vegan. It's just plant-based.
It's plant-based.
Huh?
When did you become a vegan? Like, how old were you when you became a vegan? When you transitioned?
Shoot, like 18.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, you were ahead of the curve. Gotcha. What was the defining moment?
Together, because we were rolling with all the Rasta crew.
Daniel's Blue Nile Ethiopian.
Yep. That was me. Got me like all up on. I was vegan. Same.
Yeah.
17 is when I was converted to veganism and Rastafarianism.
Okay.
I didn't go Rasta, but I was Rasta adjacent.
You're Rasta adjacent because you're
Rasta adjacent.
I was like a Rastafarian heretic,
Yeah.
What were the defining moments where you both made that decision? Like, was it something that developed over time, or was there something dramatic that precipitated the change?
You wanna?
It was a journey. I'm just curious.
For me, it was like more like religious, spiritual type of experience. And so, that's more why I was into it. And just, for health reasons. I mean, even though we are omnivores now, we are still predominantly plant-based. Like my diet hasn't, I eat meat, but not very much. A majority of what I eat is plant-based and has been, from most of my adult life. So.
Gotcha.
With me, it was strictly political. First, I got off the swine. I was reading,
man, that's terrible.
To the black man in America about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I got into
the same nation that you talk shit about now is what got you off of meat.
Swine, because the swine is the white man's trick, and so that's when I stopped eating pork, and then I just found out like, wow, humans can sustain themselves without eating meat. So I wasn't really start off being a vegan. I initially stopped eating pork. And then I came across this book called The Mucusless Diet Healing System by Professor Arnold Ehret. And it was like extremist. And at that time I became a raw fruitarian. And I would only eat organic fruits and drink distilled water. And I wouldn't even eat like grains and vegetables. So it was to me, it was based in my politics more so, so it was more of a political and ideological thing. So
really all praise is due to Allah for you not eating meat at this point.
His messenger, the fraud Muhammad.
You can't say that. He changed your life. You cannot call him that. You owe him a debt of gratitude. You need to be out selling bean pies and bananas and The newspapers.
The How to Eat to Live, eating one meal a day, and but that was about 4 months, and then I'm like, this is not sustainable. So actually, the Nation of Islam has a pretty high rate of type 2 diabetes and other issues, metabolic issues, because that Elijah Muhammad, How to Eat to Live, is not a sustainable or healthy diet.
All I know is this: bean pies are not that bad.
But, right?
Bean pies are good. Yeah. I just want to say that.
Man, it's been so long since I had a bean pie.
I feel like 90s hip hop, like 90s movies and 90s TV shows, all like the propaganda was that bean pies were nasty. Like anytime you heard somebody making a joke about a bean pie, they were disgusting. But they're delicious. I just want to say that.
I went like 15 years without a bean pie because they have milk and eggs. And I met a sister here on the south side of Chicago that had a hookup to vegan bean pies. So I had like 2 vegan bean pies, and then she fell out with me and got mad at me and cut off my vegan bean pie connect. And so it's been like almost another decade since I had a bean pie. I see her. I follow her on social media. I'm hoping she'll post. She don't know. She hasn't blocked me. She don't speak to me anymore, but she hasn't blocked me. So every now and then I go to her Facebook page to see if she maybe posts a link to where she got them bean pies. I got too much digging to ask her.
I'll ask her for you, man. If you want me to.
Yeah, you can just, infiltrate. Yeah.
Hey.
I got to edit out.
I got you, brother. I got you, brother.
So I'm not going to tell you because I hate follow her. Anyway.
All praises due to Allah for Brother Diallo being here as a vegan. Yeah. I want to say that personally. Thank you.
I know you got to
thank you to the messenger.
You got to thank Professor Arnold Ehret for that.
Thank Professor Arnold Ehret as well.
Yes.
But all praises.
But yeah.
Respectfully.
Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad got me off the swine.
That's great.
And Brand Nubian. When they say get off the swine and get refined, you act like you're blind and you lost your
damn mind. And that's one of my favorite songs. It was that's a heavily misogynistic song, man. I just want to say that.
Hey,
they was talking big shit in that song, man.
I ain't down for who don't want to submit. Like, what's wrong with that?
Hey, man.
What's wrong with not being down?
Quick to claim my name and my shit. But when I tell you get off the swine and act refined. If he was running the show, no. He said no. I love that song, man.
Shout out to Brand Nubian. I will not
man.
Smirk. Nation of the gods and earth.
Nation.
I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, iManifesto said, "Damn, capitalism is tainting the herb." Is that true?
Yeah, it taints everything, man.
The weed capitalists are some of the worst I've ever dealt with. Like I thought that the prison industrial system and the police were bad with dealing with cannabis.
Man.
Bruh, these capitalists are much more wicked and much more evil. And what they're doing to cannabis and to the cannabis industry is, they're calling it the second drug war for a reason. Because now, before you could go to prison for, just possessing it. Now you can get in trouble for, not buying it from the dispensaries, right?
Yeah, I always talk about people, decriminalization is different than legalizing.
It is.
Because it's legalized, there's plenty more regulations. In fact, in Colorado, which is where a lot of people doing research on the social, political, and social economic impacts of cannabis, they found that there are more arrests and detentions for cannabis related crimes than there was prior to legalization. Yeah. And predominantly Latino and Black people are suffering more under regulated because of all the rules. And I did a program a couple of years ago where I talked about here in Chicago, cannabis is legal. Recreational cannabis is legal. And I went and looked at the code and statute, and there are dozens of ways that you can utilize your freedom and your right that can get you arrested, get you evicted from your home, get you evicted from public housing, get you fired from your job.
Fired from your job, yeah.
Right. So, it's regulated. highly
It's
regulated.
Yeah.
In the worst sense of the term, as pro-regulation individuals. I'm very much in favor of regulation, and I oppose the cannabis regulations. I'm more about,
the decriminalization of it.
But anyway, okay, let's try to rapid fire this. I know it's getting late. I appreciate y'all riding out with me. Cam Fear says can't have good weed until after the socialist revolution.
Let's get it popping then.
Right?
Let's get it popping. I'm in Milwaukee. Let's get it popping, baby.
Yeah. I've been watching Boba Fett. I guess.
You probably make your own lightsabers, brother. Let's keep it real.
No, I don't have a lightsaber. My son had the Darth Maul lightsaber. Polynation. I'm not sure what he's talking about there.
Like polygamy?
Or me being Polynesian.
Whatever. But
I follow those IG pages. Hey, they're cracking. They're cracking, man.
What do when someone comes out to you? What's the protocol? Support them?
Come out as what? Like I got two wives, two husbands.
He's come out as poly.
I want to talk about it. I got a brother. Like every 3 years we get together because he has two wives, and I just want to sit and absorb the wisdom that this brother has attained dealing with two magnificent women successfully. Because some brothers, we can't deal with one successfully. He could do two.
Well,
teach me the ways. You know what I'm saying? That's how I attack it.
Biddle, you're a sexual phobe.
Am I?
Yeah, remember we would always argue.
Yeah, I remember now.
Sexuality.
You know why?
Because I'm sexual people as a form of sexuality.
You know what? I'm glad that you brought that up, brother Diallo.
Cancel. Slow down.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Asexual is about to cancel you. Go ahead.
No. So there was this brother that I knew. He was a self-professed asexual man.
Okay.
Come to find out, he was knocking down everything. This brother was out here false flagging, and ever since he did that, I just call my, first impressions last. So when people tell me they're asexual, I'll be like, man, you full of shit, because somebody professed to be asexual daily, and they was out here being the biggest hoe known to man. Knocking everything down, like just a total hypocrite, man. So he scarred me. I'm sorry. I'm traumatized.
Jealous? Is that what we're calling jealousy now? Okay, let's
jealousy. Why the hell would I be jealous of that? That's ridiculous, nigga. Please.
Okay, May, can we foster the body's ability to produce endocannabinoids naturally?
Absolutely. So number one is running, exercise, but it has to be exercise that you enjoy. I'm sure, Diallo, you've gotten high off exercise because I know that you love exercise. So when you're exercising and after you're done and you get that
high,
that good feeling, that's from your endocannabinoid system. So exercise, but you have to enjoy it. So it's not like exercise that you hate, like.
Got you.
Like and meditation is another way. And then there's also like a little collection of herbs that hit the same CB1 receptors. So ava, which is used throughout Polynesia, also known as kava or kava, but it's ava. That's how that's what it really is. It's hits the same receptors as THC. CB1 receptors has a similar. Also, echinacea is another thing that activates your endocannabinoid system. So those are
of the sexual variety.
I am not sure if that activates your CB1 receptors. To be honest, but those are kind of the main. Those are some of the main ways that you can do it. And so we always recommend exercise to fatigue. fatigue in your muscles. That's really good. Yeah.
Okay. No doubt.
Melanin Rich Nay. I made a good ass vegan bean pie.
A while ago.
You on
Let's
the
talk
south
about it. Where do you live? Do you sell them? How much
Right?
are they? Like, let's talk
Are you in
logistics here.
Chicago?
Right. Where are you located? I'll try one. Shit.
So I actually have to dip out because it's 4:20 in Hawaii. It's still early, and I have 2 events I have to go to.
So you got stuff to do, brother.
Thank you so much, May. And
Dr. May, it was a pleasure meeting you and learning from you. Thank you so much.
All right.
You so much.
Thank you, sis. And let me know next time you're in Chicago. We can go get Melanin Rich's vegan bean pie.
Dr. May, who was Diallo's first girlfriend before you leave?
I don't remember Diallo ever having girlfriends. Oh no, I lied. He was girlfriends with one of my good friends.
I didn't date in high school though. I never had a girlfriend in high school.
Ooh.
I did date one of my good friends who's white.
Hey, we've all done that at some
we would
point.
sit up in her house and literally fight, me and Diallo, till 2 and 3 in the morning all the time.
Whoa.
Did you dance to Green Day?
Me? No. I was a hip hop
Or
fan.
Hootie and the Blowfish. Did you dance to Hootie and the Blowfish? Let's talk about it.
No, I was never a fan of Hootie. And I had a friend who was like a Hootie and the Blowfish fanatic. So he made me hate them because he played them all the time. But shout out to Rich man. He's in Florida now, but shout out to Rich. But yeah, Rich, you made me hate Hootie and the Blowfish because when they were popping in the early 90s, that's all he would do. And he looked like the dude from Hootie and the Blowfish.
The black dude.
Yeah, nice like subject change.
Let's talk about it, man. What was her name?
Sexual in high school.
What was her name?
Melissa.
Diallo. Melissa. Hey, Melissa. We got to bring her on the show, brother. Let's talk to Melissa. I want to get to know this other Diallo.
Yeah, no, the same. Literally the same. Diallo is the same.
But anyway, I'm gonna have to make it out to Hawaii, and get some of those mangoes off the street as you walk down the street. Thank you so much. Tell every family I said hello. Tell Jay I said what's up, and I got to get you back before next 420.
Yeah. Okay.
Before next 420, let's make it. And I really
pleasure meeting you, Biddle.
Same here. Pleasure's all mine.
See you guys later.
All right. All right.
Great, man.
She's really a brilliant sister. Known her very long time, well over 30 years. So we go way back.
This is how I know that your online persona is not your offline persona.
How you know?
Because people offline love you. Like they love you. They think you're great. Even when we did 0 to 100, when you brought on what was her name? She's a tall lady, light skin. She did
Tiffany Chimera.
Tiffany, yeah. She loved you. Brother Kidu loved you. Brother Cartman loved you. You know what I'm saying? So I just know that you're
but I don't
offline and online are two different things. Because you're lovable. Offline, you're lovable, it appears to be.
All right. Oh, you want to talk about our upcoming project?
Yeah, man. About 2 weeks, 2 Wednesdays from now.
Is it 2 weeks?
Yeah, man, it's 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, run it down.
First Wednesday in May.
Okay.
Brother Diallo and I will be reuniting for a new show called Politics and Bullshit on Q4 Radio every Wednesday from 7 to 9. We've evolved as people, but we're going to take the greatness that we built together with 0 to 100 Radio and turn it into a whole new thing. We're living in a different time. Politics are different. Cultural phenomenons are different. We're different. And it's going to be a whole different flavor with, it's going to be like your grandma's cooking, but better.
All right.
Politics and bullshit, man. I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
Me too.
I've missed you, man.
The dream team back together.
missed you, man. Yeah.
Okay. See what made it started. Diallo had that fever.
Hey, man.
Oh my God.
Hey.
Thank you for Dr.
So did Dr. France Fanon, man. Hey, man. You know what I'm saying? Jacques Jope.
Yeah.
You know, Dr. Jope. He had to, you know what I'm saying? It happens, bro. Yeah, man. Brother Malcolm, when he was Detroit Red, he was out here.
That's why I don't bring on people back from when I was a kid. I don't bring them on the show. People don't know how
wonderful. It's wonderful, man.
Shout out.
He's a genuine brother. I will say that, man. What he says, he believes.
When did I stop Shanghaiing himself? What does that mean?
I don't know, man.
I guess he's ready to travel with COVID still on the loose. Actually, hell no, I ain't going nowhere with. I guess I ain't going nowhere.
New York?
Loose, especially since that 33-year-old judge, Trump-appointed judge in Florida, that was the bar association said she's unqualified to be a federal judge. Lifted the mandate. I actually did have a flight schedule. I ain't going nowhere with these plague rats out here. COVID.
We're gonna need a Prester John interpreter, man, like a whisperer, a Prester John whisperer, come on the show and dissect what this dynamic individual is saying.
Right. Locking yourself down.
Locking yourself down. There you go.
On semi-lockdown. I am on semi-lockdown.
And remember when in the NBA where Daryl Morey, he was the GM for Houston, he was speaking I
don't know nothing about sports.
But he was speaking on China's oppression with
I know about that.
Yeah, and they had all the black athletes tap dancing, talking about we love China. Had LeBron out there, Harden. We love you guys.
LeBron was
we
like, come to me as a man. Come to me as a man. If you would come to me as a man. Right. I've been saying for decades. I've never owned a pair of Jordans. I've been saying for decades all these sweatshop produced shoes that they spend less than $12 to manufacture and bring them to the hood and sell them for over $100. You know, I've been going on about that for the longest.
Guess what? When you was a kid and you wore the Hakeem Olajuwons or the Shaqs that were like $10, $20, you would get bombed on and beat up.
Not if you could bomb back. I used to wear Spaldings. No. Remember Spaldings?
Yeah. I think Hakeem Olajuwon had the Spaldings.
Oh. Yeah. I don't know. I never watched sports. Spaldings were well made and they were affordable. And I dare somebody to say something. I dare somebody, because boy, I can riff with the best of them. So you know, but yeah, I used to rock Spaldings for that very reason. I didn't want no Nikes.
Have you ever tried cannabis?
I've used CBD oil.
Have you ever smoked weed?
One time, I used.
Have you ever smoked a blunt?
And just a couple of days ago, I was out working on my son's car, and I was trying to get the battery cable out, and I twisted my wrist, slapped some CBD on there.
You was good.
Took that shit right out. Knocked that shit right out. So
no doubt.
I'm a believer now. And so
what's he driving? What's your son driving, man? What's he rolling in?
What's that thing called?
Rolling in my 6'4".
It's a Subaru.
Hey, I like Subarus, man.
Like a 16-year-old Subaru. My homie Dita Bam gave it to him.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I rented one last year when we went to Memphis for my lady's birthday. We went to Memphis. I rented one, and it was one of the most favorite cars I've ever driven. The safety features are phenomenal, man.
Yeah. So anyway, I look forward to the show. We're developing it. Cat's out the bag. The BroDiallo show is coming back on Monday mornings.
Hey.
So Prester John will be glad to know I'm no longer quarantining. I am getting out into the world a little bit, but I'm not doing any unnecessary traveling. And I still wear my mask every time I'm in a public place and when I'm in the store. And
sounds wise to me, man.
Yeah.
It sounds like wisdom.
Yeah.
We are in a pandemic. So I don't,
I think everyone else should still take precautions, social distance when able, continue to wear your mask according to the initial CDC protocols, hand washing and sanitizing surfaces. Continue to do all that, people.
Continue to use the smart parts of your brain. That's all I can say.
Right. Remember that girl came out with that saying, "It's not over because you over it."
Yeah,
You know,
and that's exactly the political ideology for this pandemic right now. Is we're over it, so it has to be
people are
erased from
still
the
dying.
memories of our people. People have, brother. I was people are now even wear a mask no more, man. Like it's crazy. Milwaukee Public Schools on Tuesday they instituted no mandatory masks. By Wednesday they reinstituted mandatory masks.
Yeah, that's what's
One
happening
day.
everywhere.
Yeah,
That's what's happening everywhere. And
Yeah.
Fox News, all the Fox News correspondents are fully vaccinated, and the Fox News studios has some of the strictest COVID protocols of any media outlet, and they go on every night, you know, telling people
talking that dumb shit.
Mhm.
Even Orange Man had the sense to get vaccinated.
Yeah, he got vaccinated, and
he got vaccinated.
You saw when he told some of his rally attendees to get vaccinated.
They started booing him.
That's why I say Trump is not the leader of the far right. He's a mascot of the far right. Really, these multinational CEOs, the Koch brothers, and the people who fund ALEC, and
they're the one running shit.
Investment funds, they are the ones who are funding and driving the far right. And they're not even far right themselves. They just understand that the far right
understand the politics and how it's profitable for them.
Exactly. Will stop any type of progressive
type of progression. Yeah. And then the Democrats say
finance Hitler,
listen.
Or the capitalists, the industrialists finance Hitler. And they
I wish people understood that about politics, period. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go on. Sorry.
I wish people would understand that more about politics, especially when the Negroes come out, the civil rights Negroes come out every 2 to 4 years telling people to get out and vote, that these politicians are sponsored by those that fund them and those that promise them rewards of jobs and stocks and all type of insider information and riches. Like those are the people that they have to answer to. Yeah. You know, I wish people would understand. Yeah. I mean, I still support voting too, but you have to be political education without voting.
Exactly. That's what we need.
Ridiculous.
Political education.
All over. Yeah.
John says 70% of the body's waste products are expelled via breathing. I'd hate to be around this brother. I hope you carry around
like shit. Oh, this dude's breath smell like shit, man.
Weapons grade breath mints. If 70% of your weight is coming out of your breath, I hope you got them diesel breath mints, brother. Get to an emergency room now. Why did he tell us this after the doctor?
Right. Now we could have gave you some medical information to help you with whatever dragon breath situations you got going on, brother. Like your shit stank, man.
This dude inside out. His digestive system is working in reverse. Stop shoving food up your anus. Eat it through. Dude's doing reverse digestion. Okay.
Pray for that brother, man.
Damn, why you insult yourself, man? I'm gonna use that the next time I have to crack on somebody. They're like, yo, man, you got that Prester John breath. 70% of your body weight.
That Prester John gastrointestinal system, where 70% of your breath is the
man. He got so are his lungs
shit
in his
crumbs.
Are your lungs in your abdomen?
It's in his large intestine. His lungs is in his large intestine.
I tell you, hey, listen. We got it. If conspiracy people ain't paying attention to you, you ain't saying you're doing something wrong.
Oh man, yeah, you're not an alpha. Alphas don't talk that way, brother.
Right, 70%. Lord, let me check my breath. I want to go floss right now. Just thinking about.
Let me pop an Altoid in my mouth, man. Let me get on my grind.
Oh, come on, Presser. That just delegitimizes everything else.
My grind, brother.
Let's end.
Hey, Preston John, who learned you, brother? Who learned you?
Yeah, who learned your oral hygiene? You know, I want to talk to your mama. Like, you know, man.
This is great, man. I haven't done this in a long time. This is great.
Yeah, let's we're gonna shut it down. I'm gonna go.
I'm gonna enjoy the rest of 420, man.
Oh, right, yeah. Me
it's
too.
420. And it's hump day.
Pop the cap on my CBD oil, rub it on my
rub it on your neck, you know what I'm saying? Your wrist.
Yeah, so I'm about to go CBD it up.
Hey, man.
You know, 420. Again, shout out
420 and hump day. You know what I'm saying? It's about to be cracking.
All right, and to everyone else, thanks for tuning in. We'll see y'all soon. Next book review is The Community of Self. That should be up soon. And Friday morning, I'll be on Dr. Jerry Ball's show in the morning.
Hey, what you talking about?
To be honest with you, I think there's this guy going around saying that I'm promoting the gay agenda. I know that's one of the topics we'll be talking about is about how
you are Captain Save Gay. I will admit.
I'm just irrational. I just try to. I just ask. You know, I've told the straight pride people, if you can come up with a secular, rational argument against homosexuality, I will join your group.
It's rooted in religion that they don't practice.
Right. Because I was a hardcore homophobe. I truly believe that gay people expressing themselves in society was a sign of the end times. Hey. You know, I really thought, you know, the dome of the rock was going to split and the angels on the flaming chariots would come because gay people.
No lie.
That's what I was told. So when I was coming up, and even when I left Christianity and I started dealing with Nation of Islam, I really thought that gay people were a sign of the apocalypse. Yeah.
No doubt.
After I came up out of all that, I was like, man, you know, I got to find a new reason to hate on gay folks.
Yeah. When I was elected, I had a pretty progressive voting record. And my Black constituents used to flame my ass anytime I voted for anything like domestic partnerships, like anything. Right. And then at the barbershop, I would get into these intellectual debates because they were just, you know, highly stupid. But every time that I came in, they would call me the gay lover because the gay lover.
I mean, that's what they said that I was a part of the gay agenda. And I was pushing the gay agenda when I was just asked for a rational argument. I've been waiting, I'm into dude stuff, so I'd love to get up there with Umar, get some of that Umar money, they gave Umar $700,000 to protect them from the gays. I'd love to get that money,
there's still no school. It's 2022. There's no school. And I want them to apologize to me because they said I was hating when I would bring up yearly.
Right.
Where's the school?
Yeah.
Where is it?
When it opens, you're gonna have a lot of egg on your face.
I'll be dead. By the time that school opens, I'll be dead. And it still won't be open. I just won't be alive to know if it's open or not.
It's good money over there in the alpha male arena.
It is. Look at Tariq Nasheed getting paid. Kevin Samuels getting paid.
More erotic film buck breaker. It's good money. So if, my whole thing is being evidence-based and being rational.
Yo, he was selling buck breaking NFTs, brother.
Right.
NFT images of buck breaking. He was selling them.
Once I come up with a secular, rational argument against the LGBTQAI community, I'm about to get paid. You hear me? I'm working on it. And I've been asking the straight pride people to give me one. But the only time they respond is like, oh, you must be gay. I'm like, I'd love to rejoin the straight pride. I'd love to rejoin the homophobic community. I just need it. I can't use, Judeo-Christian puritanical arguments against the gays. Give me some more ammunition.
This one young lady back in college called one of my close friends gay because he didn't like her. She said, you must be gay. And I was like, oh shit.
It's gonna be a long night to me since May told I dated a white girl in the early 90s. I gotta go
me, man.
To Dr. Mingo. So that's the rest of my night.
She didn't know that?
No.
Was she gonna be on is what else about you do I not know? Because I didn't know that. What else do I not know? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Dr. Mingo, man.
I gotta go put out this fire. Get May back. I got some of her secrets. Next time she's on, I'm gonna tell some of May's secrets. So.
There you go. All right, brother.
Anyway, good night. All right, bro. All right. Oops. Have a good one. All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Again, book review coming up. Check in. I Mix What I Like. Dr. Jerry Ball, 7 a.m. tomorrow. I'll be on that show. And please like, share, subscribe, share with your family, friends, allies, enemies. Support Patreon. You can get some of your BroDiallo merch and African World Order merch at AfricanWorldOrder.com. And I think that's all things and everything. And I will hear and see from you guys very soon. Peace and happy 420.